Hello and welcome to Nick V Uncensored. Today we've got Cristin Ludlow, and today we're going to be talking about make animals healthy again, as well as make America healthy again. Cristin, thank you so much for joining me. First of all, why make animals healthy again? I mean, why isn't nobody talking about this?
Well, we love that this Maha movement has been happening because we've all seen what's been happening in the human industry. It's becoming common knowledge. I'm so grateful that there are good people out there that are exposing these industries and what they've been doing for so long and how it's been impacting people and children and everybody. But what a lot of people don't know is the same thing has been happening in the pet industry for even longer, for decades. And a lot of manufacturers and companies over time have just been compromising quality, exchanging good ingredients for fillers and artificial and synthetic ingredients. And it's such a loosely regulated industry that we've gotten to the point now where a lot of the pet foods and treats are not even considered foods anymore. That's how synthetic and artificial they are. And then we see what's happening to our pets. We see that 65% of them are getting cancer. 1 out of 3 of them are developing allergies, chronic arthritis, chronic pain, seizures, autoimmune diseases, never-ending infections and viruses that we keep having to get medications for and shots for and all of these things. And our pets are living half as long as they used to. In the 1970s, the average golden retriever lived to be 17 years old. Today, it's 9. So this is something that's been happening for a really long time. So our heart and our passion is, as we're learning what's been happening for people in that industry, we're also exposing what's been happening in the pet supply industry so that we can not only have the awareness, but respond properly and start to make different decisions that can help us and our pets live longer, happier, healthier lives.
No, absolutely. One of the control systems mechanism for keeping us suffering and in low frequency is they harvest our loose energy. That's what they want. So one of the ways is to keep us broke, overcharge us. They're not interested in the cure because there's no money in the cure. It's all in the treating the illness. And the other thing is they want us to grieve. Because when we grieve, when divine souls grieve, we generate a loose harvesting energy that they feed off. And that's how they keep the frequency of Earth low. Like Nikola Tesla said, everything is energy. We had this, so that's one of the control systems, spiritual aspect of it. But then obviously we have the financial side as well, and the business, how we enrich the healthcare system. So it's a bit like killing 3 birds in one stone, if you like, Now, we had another discussion, in our previous interview regarding this. And what fascinated me the most was when they make pet toys in different colors. And when pets actually, especially dogs, and I believe cats too, their vision is black and white. So why would they make them in color?
Mhm. They're colorblind. I think they can see a little bit of blues and yellows and everything else is brown. And we see toys that are red and orange and purple and just all these bright colors. And we think, oh, that they would love that. That would be so stimulating for them. And they can't even tell the difference. It all just looks brown to them. So it's just color psychology. They're adding all of these dyes, these really harsh dyes and chemicals, not to stimulate our pets, but to stimulate us, to get us to buy them, to choose that toy over any other toy that's on the rack, because we respond to the colors and we have those impulses. And then our little pets are suffering because now they're chewing on these toys, playing with them, and it feels so harmless, these cute little animals and these cute little icons and emojis and all these fun little things that we give our pets, but they're swallowing bits and pieces of it. And if they're unable to pass that, or unless we do some type of emergency surgery, if it gets stuck in their system, we're finding bleach stuffing, styrofoam, plastic, pieces of tennis balls that have a ton of chemicals on them, heavily dyed and processed cotton and nylon fibers that are synthetic that shred up their digestive system. It's really bad. I saw a horrible article on a pup that barely even made it because he swallowed a tiny little rope that is mom gave him. And so, even the ones that we think would be more natural, like bones and pig ears and rawhides, those are very heavily processed. They use glue, bleach, formaldehyde. They even paint them red and use these other harsh colorings, again, for us to make it appear more fresh.
Can I
And
ask you? Oh, please.
that and putting that in their mouth. Like, imagine if you were licking on something with glue and bleach and formaldehyde in it all day, every day. What would that do to your body?
Now, when it goes into the mouth, usually, especially with humans, there's a very big process with the FDA. Um, does the same apply with animals?
No, very, very loosely regulated. There's a great documentary. This is what really inspired me to become certified in pet nutrition. I had realized I had lost every pet that I'd ever had to cancer. My entire life from childhood into adulthood, I've lost 100% of my pets to cancer. And the worst part about that was that I never questioned it. I just, because I was a child when it first happened, I guess I just assumed that was the life cycle of a pet. Like you said, many times they're not looking for cures, they're looking for customers. And even if they're living half as long as they used to, that's great for them, because when you lose a family member, yes, it's sad. When you lose a pet, it's very sad. And what do you do to fill that void? You get another pet or two pets or three pets, and it just perpetually keeps going. And you keep getting more and you keep grieving. You get more and you grieve. And the less time they live, the sooner you're going to grieve again, right? And so I watched a really good documentary called Pet Fooled that opened my eyes to what was happening in the pet supply industry, that the majority of the conditions that our pets are dealing with is because of exposure to the foods, treats, and toys and accessories that they're chewing and ingesting. And it is so loosely regulated. And that's why that's why we're a part of this movement and this community of people that are standing up and just saying enough is enough, because we can have this diffusion of responsibility and wait for somebody else to fix it, which we all know that never happens when we're all just waiting for other people to do everything for us. Or we can go to these companies and these conglomerates and protest and ask that they change the way that they do things, which we know is not going to happen. And even if they do respond, it's like turning an elephant. It will take forever. We can go to the legal authorities and, these organizations which don't really exist in the pet industry, but ask that they change the laws and write better regulations, which we know will take forever. Or we can just be the change that we want to see. That is the path of least resistance. And that's why I'm so thankful for you opening up this platform so we can educate people and empower and encourage people to make their own decisions, to make better decisions regarding their pet health and what to look for in the pet industry, so that we can stop this cycle and these things can be considered things of the past. That's our heart.
Yeah. I always, when you talk about, the courts, they will, it's true. I don't believe they will make any difference. They're part of the system. They're programmed and scripted in that way. And many of them, unfortunately, they don't operate from empathy, and they just can't. I don't think it's possible, because their frequency is coded differently to us. And I realized, before I used to think, hopefully Donald Trump's going to do a few things and he's going to liberate us. But I realized that he's there to disrupt the matrix, get people to ask questions, make them curious. But I think ultimately the change is going to be within us. When we decide that we need to create parallel systems, not overnight, but slowly, like this platform, for an example, or gold, where people are buying more gold, or Bitcoin, or using alternative health as well, like frequency healing and stuff like that. And just saying no to digital ID, or finding alternative ways to store wealth, not just in your bank. And I think that more and more people are losing faith in the system. They're asking more questions, and they're finding new ways to be sovereign. And I think that's the shift. It's a gradual process in the collapse of the system. What do you think about that?
It's beautiful. I agree wholeheartedly that Again, these people are not our saviors, they're our catalysts. They're catalysts for the change. They're meant to inspire us to take the action, like you said, to build new systems, better systems, rediscover old technologies that we had been using forever, foods, energy, all of these old biotechnologies that have existed forever that were hidden from us that we're now rediscovering. And people always ask me, oh, what you're doing is so disruptive. And that bothers me because I don't feel like we're being disruptive. I feel like we're restoring things back to their natural order. We were disrupted. We were disrupted by that entire oppressive system that was built. And as much as I don't like it, it's genius what they did and how they did it over so long and how they got control of everything. I mean, it's like a criminal brilliance, really. But now with these catalysts and all this light that's flooding in, we're all waking up and we're reclaiming our sovereignty and we're responding and we're not waiting for other people to do things for us anymore. We're all individually responsible for raising our own frequency, and the micro creates the macro, right? If I can't control all this other stuff, but I can control me. And as I focus and have intent on raising that through eating the right foods, through using these new biotechnologies, through conversations like this, not only having them, but listening to them, listening to good people talk about good things, all collectively we're raising that frequency. And I agree with you. I don't think those guys can even understand. They don't get empathy. They're incapable of feeling that. But what's going to happen is we're going to shift right out of that timeline, and there's nothing they can do. Nothing can stop what's coming. That's truly where we are today. Nothing can stop it.
I think every time there's a pushback from the system, we get one step closer to a shift. There's another shift, and then they push, and then there's another shift. And then it's a matter of time until that shift has reached a point where it's like everybody says no without fear. And when you say, when enough people say no to the system without fear, the system then becomes isolated from the people, not the other way around.
Right.
And I think so I think when you say nothing can stop what's coming, it's that awareness within us that's expanding that cannot be stopped no more. So it's just the matter of time, And when you say, oh, you're doing the right, you mentioned something about what you're doing, and some people try to make you feel bad,
Mm-hmm.
I think when you operate from truth and mission, and you do what's right,
Mm-hmm.
and empathy, the system is going to attack you.
Oh yeah.
Because the system glitches, so it's like it tries to attack you. But then I think once you override it with sovereignty and truth, and we don't allow ourselves to get emotionally entangled with the system, I think naturally we step into a timeline where the system we become invisible to the system.
Yes. I say that all the time. I feel like I have a cloak of invisibility. like like the enemy can't, it's impossible, really, because like you said, once that fear is gone, once it's truly gone, there have been some things that have happened to me that most people would be incredibly fearful of, that I am grateful for, because it just proved the theory of what you just said, that we're insulated, that we cannot be harmed, that you can rise above, and it can cut through anything. It truly can. And that's why they throw these little temper tantrums. And that, like you said, they throw one thing at us and it immediately backfires. And the amount of time is condensing, right? Like it used to take us years to figure it out. Then we got down to where it would take us months, then weeks. Now within a couple hours, we're figuring things out. Sometimes within minutes, we watch it, we're like, yeah, no, that's not right. Something's off about that.
Absolutely. And I feel that one way to regulate the way we feel is to become aware of how we respond to those glitches from the system. Where is the tension on our bodies, and to become aware, to learn how to observe the observer within, because that's what we are awareness. But absolutely, I think you're doing great. So what is the solution with the pets? How can we look after our pets so that they do live to, I think you said 19 years old, was it? Or 17 years old?
17 in the 70s. But we
Wow.
see today, it's not uncommon. I've been certified in pet nutrition now for, goodness, over 8 years. And I see pets living to 19, 20, 21, 25 regularly. And it's just like you said, saying no to the old system, stop doing what we're doing. I realized that all my pets that I had lost to cancer, that was not hereditary. That was not like a fluke. It was a result of the environment that they were in and what I was providing for them, what we were giving them was causing all of that disharmony and that imbalance in their systems. And so we're really focused on, educating people and showing them what to look for in what they're shopping for, which is really important what not to get, but what's equally important is what to get. And on top of that, being very, very intentional right now with who and what you're supporting, because every single dollar that we give them empowers us or empowers them, right? But every single dollar that we redirect and we put it toward conscious builders, people that are building a parallel system, people that are building something better, something that serves humanity, that serves creation, people with empathy and passion and a calling. Every single dollar that we spend with those people also takes away their power because that's a dollar that we're taking away from them. And you know what? They're all about that. They just want to hoard all the resources, get it all so that we feel broke and disempowered. Because if you keep the prisoners too weak to climb the prison walls, then you can control the system. But we're
Abs-
very rapidly breaking free from that.
no, absolutely. So what is your favorite, thing that you offer for pets that you feel is very good for them, that's very different to what somebody would buy in the normal shops?
Well, really quickly, first, I'm just going to share with you some things to look for so that people can go into their pantry currently and take a look at what they currently have and make sure that it's okay for their pets. So here are some things that I always recommend, just being certified in pet nutrition, and things to say no to, things to walk away from. First of all, make sure that whatever food you're giving your pet is made with human grade whole foods in human grade kitchens. Like I said, it is very loosely regulated and you have no idea the quality of the ingredients. And they might purchase all the proper labeling and say, it's non-GMO and are certified organic. They might pay all the money to get all those labels, but they're importing ingredients from overseas that are not human grade quality, and they have really high levels of radiation and heavy metals in it. So a rule that I have is if it's not something that you're willing to put in your own mouth or eat yourself, don't give it to your pet. Like that's how much you should trust the brand. Also, make sure it's made and sourced in the United States. Again, we're having sourcing issues with the ingredients coming from overseas. A lot of the stuff that gets rejected by other countries, they send it to America. How sad is that? Because they know that we'll take it at a discount. No animal byproducts. This is the worst thing that can possibly be in your pet food or your pet treats. These are unclean meat sources, and it could include roadkill, euthanized animals, animals that are too sick for human consumption, all get sold to pet food manufacturers at a discount. And they're allowed to do that. It's horrible. So if you have anything in your house that says animal byproducts, I just recommend throwing it away because it could potentially be toxic for them. No carcinogens. Most of the kibble, 80% of us have our pets on kibble. And it's not the optimal diet, but of course it's more convenient and it's more affordable for a lot of people. And what they're doing is they're flash cooking this food at 400 degrees and it's charring the kibble and it's full of carcinogens and they don't have to report that. And that's why so many of our pets are getting cancer. They're just eating carcinogens all day, every day. So look for foods that are baked at lower temperatures around 200 degrees. And then there's a guideline that I recommend, AAFCO. If you're feeding your pets kibble or canned food, make sure that it adheres to the AAFCO guidelines. Those are the strictest guidelines. And so that's going to have the best nutrient profile for your pets. Stay away from anything genetically modified, anything synthetic, artificial like sugars, chemicals, fillers, dyes. You would be shocked how much kibble has dye in it. for, again, no reason. It's all just brown to them. Stay away from the allergens like wheat, corn, and soy. And then make sure that you're giving them foods that serve a purpose, right? It's not just about filling them up like it's been in the past. People just will give them whatever to keep them full so they could feel like they're being good pet parents. But we need to make sure that we're giving them natural support. There's so many good ingredients that support their bodies, like mushroom extracts. We're learning more about mushrooms and how beneficial those are for the body for both pets and people. There's glucosamine, keratin, chondroitin, minerals, vitamins, antioxidants. Look for foods and treats that are intentional, that have all of that stuff, prebiotics, probiotics, taurine, just naturally included in it. And that's what we decided to do. We're like, look, people are spending an arm and a leg on all of these medications and these shots and these procedures and these treatments. And, then they go and they say, oh, you need this supplement, that supplement, this supplement, that supplement. And they just have a medicine cabinet full of stuff, spending hundreds of dollars a month on all of this stuff. And so we were like, look, let's just put it all like in a cookie. Let's just put all the stuff in one place. Let's put it all in their food. And then when they're just eating cookies, having fun, eating gravy, eating their food, they're getting all of that natural support that their bodies deserve, which is really, really important right now, especially if your pet is dealing with some health concerns. Like if you're concerned about some things, we need to get that food into their body because they don't know how to process all these synthetic and artificial ingredients. Their bodies don't know how to metabolize it. So as fast as we're putting it in, they're trying to detox. They're trying to get it out. Same thing that's happening for humans. All this food that we're eating, the poor water quality, the poor air quality, all the stuff we're putting on our skin, as fast as it's going into our body and onto our body, our immune system is trying to get it out because it's synthetic. It doesn't belong in our bodies. So when we put natural stuff into and onto our bodies, they know what to do with it. It knows how to metabolize it. It knows how to use it for the benefit of the being. And so we've seen just such incredible things as the body's been getting that natural support that it really needs.
What kind of incredible things have you seen? And also, could you tell us what is the like most common health problems that most people have with their pets, and how will they recover that you've seen after using Pet Club?
Mm-hmm. The biggest problem, and it's happening for people too, is there is an attack on the immune system. The immune system is the most important system in the entire body. It repairs, rebuilds, it regulates, it rebalances everything that's happening inside of the body. And they are consciously attacking it because it's naturally built into our pets. It's naturally built into us. And when it's functioning optimally, when it's functioning the way that it was intelligently designed to, we don't need them. I don't need their vaccines. I don't need their medications. I don't need their treatments. I don't need any of that stuff that they're trying to sell me and use to control me and keep me in that slave, stuck in that slave mentality. I don't need any of that when my immune system is functioning optimally and naturally doing all of that stuff for me. So when we see the cancers taking over, 65% of our pets getting cancer, 1 out of 3 getting allergies, chronic inflammation, arthritis, pain, the autoimmune diseases, when we're seeing all of that, those are all happening because the immune system is weakened. That is the source of it. So when we get the immune system supported and functioning the way that it's supposed to, it goes to the root cause or the source of all of these things that we're experiencing for our pets or for ourselves. It addresses it there, and then magically all the symptoms go away, right? Kind of like when your check engine, people think symptoms are a bad thing, and they're not. They're indicators. They're telling us there's imbalance in the body, right? There's something that needs to be repaired. There's something that needs to be resolved. That's what a symptom does. It's our body's way of telling us, hey, something's wrong that we need to fix. So when we're giving them support, the body naturally goes in and starts resolving all of those things. And we have been so blessed to have discovered we have a really pure and potent strain of a mushroom called the Coriolus versicolor mushroom. And do you mind if I get a little geeky on you?
Please.
Because it is so fascinating how mushrooms work, especially talking about consciousness and how nature and everything creates is sending messages, right? Like it's all in constant communication. There's just a flow of communication happening. And I watched a really good documentary called Fantastic Fungi. And my favorite part of it, there's this beautiful balance in nature that happens because there's a mycelial network of mushrooms that's growing all over the planet. 80% of every step that you take, you're stepping on this mycelial network of mushrooms. There are spores all around us that we're breathing in. And mushrooms' DNA is actually closest to humans. It's closer to humans than it is to plants. And so this network is essential for life. It's crucial for life, and it's constantly communicating. So if there's a tree over here that needs carbon, it will send out an impulse into this mycelial network that says, I need carbon. This message will go out through the mushrooms. There's a tree over here that has extra carbon. So it says, oh, I have extra carbon. It gives the carbon to the mycelial network of mushrooms and sends it to the other tree that needs it. And they pass information and they pass nutrients and minerals to each other through this mushroom.
Is it like through frequency fields?
Yes, yes. And it's measurable. And it's all through sound and light. You know, everything's just sound and light. It's unbelievable and so fascinating when you learn about it. I recommend people watch that because it'll blow your mind. But what we do is we take this Coriolis versicolor mushroom while it's in its mycelial phase, when it has a lot of the polysaccharides and the spermidine and all of the things that help with DNA repair and cellular renewal and all of those things. And we extract it. We have a really pure and potent strain, and we extract it and we put it into dog biscuits for dogs. It's a cute name. It's called the Mush Puppies. I love that name. We have like a handmade gravy for dogs. We have horse cakes, and we even put it into capsules for people. We have these capsules called the Inforce capsules. And I think that it is just so full of so much light, and it has so high of a frequency that once it's inside the body for pets and for people, that immune system really starts working. We're noticing within days huge improvements in our pets, and relatively quickly for people as well, depending on how much resistance they have in their body or if how much stuck energy they have in their body. But it is breaking through a lot of this. Here's an example. We have a dog named Zenta, and this was so many years ago. She was dealing with a really bad autoimmune disease where her paw pads would just peel off. Like as soon as she hit the pavement, her eyes were turning white and cloudy. Her fur was coming out in clumps when you would pet her. She was in a lot of pain. You couldn't really even touch her. She would just whimper. And if she had to go to the bathroom, they had to pick her up and carry her outside. She'd use the restroom. They'd pick her up, put her back in her favorite corner. And she was almost 15 years old, which is old for a husky. The average husky only lives to be 12. And so they took her to the vet. And the vet, of course, said, there's nothing more that we can do. I think it's time to say goodbye. But they just felt in their spirit, they were like, no, she's not ready. She's still eating. We just don't think that she's ready. And they took her home and they posted on social media. They were sad that they were going to have to say goodbye to her. And we saw that. So we immediately reached out and asked if they had heard of this mushroom, which of course they hadn't. Most people haven't. And we said, hey, we have these little cookies we'd like to give her and see if that at least can just make her more comfortable. They had given her a couple $100 worth of narcotics and steroids. And we're just like, here, keep her comfortable until she passes, essentially, put her on hospice. And so we brought these little biscuits over, and she started eating about 3-4 of them a day, as much as she could. On the 4th day, Zenta walked over to the couch and jumped on the couch.
And she couldn't jump before?
She couldn't even walk.
Wow.
She couldn't even walk to the bathroom. Zenta jumped on the couch at 15 years old. 30 days later, she was walking all on her own. She was eating on her own. Her paw pads were growing back in. Her fur wasn't coming out in clumps. Her eyes were clearing up. She had about 8 of these growths that were on her ribs, and they started to go down. Zenta lived another 4.5 years.
Wow.
Because after we saw that, after 30 days, they said, do you think it's these mushrooms? This is incredible. And we were like, well, there's over 400 published studies on these mushrooms and what they do for the immune system. We know how powerful the immune system is. Have you done anything else? They're like, no, let's just keep giving them to her. So they took her off all the medications. They threw away all the other junk they had spent thousands of dollars on and just gave her this mushroom. She lived to be almost 20 years old. So, the best part is that they had grandkids in those 4.5 years, and they have videos of them crawling on her and laying with her and cuddling with her when just a couple years earlier, she couldn't even be touched. She couldn't even move. And now they have those special memories with her, just enjoying them and loving them.
Wow.
So that changed me. That changed me when I saw that. When I saw how powerful it is and how simple it is, that it's just about getting the right nutrition in the body. That changed me. And that's when I was like, I have to be a voice for those that don't have one. I have to let people know what's possible. And I thought that was a fluke, honestly, because that was my first experience with it. And I was like, goodness, if I could just help one other animal, like if one other person can have that same type of impact, then all my work would be worth it, in my opinion. If we could just help one. Nope. Dog after dog, horse after horse, cat after cat, person after person, over 90% of the time, we're getting back these reports of these positive things. And that's when I realized that this is more. This is truly changing the way that pets and people are being treated. This is something that we all need to be doing because, like I said, we can make all these conditions and all these things we've been dealing with be things of the past. Remember when our pets used to get cancer? Remember when our pets used to have autoimmune diseases? But we've moved past that. We've found a way, like you said, a parallel system that's developed that serves humanity, that serves creation, that serves nature, and allows us to be good stewards of it instead of mutilating it and destroying it for the benefit of the few, right? That are feeding off of all of that grief and sorrow and fear and all of that. We have a way to change that and to move out of that timeline and to do something better and do something different. And so I'm just so passionate about it. And honestly, I don't even remember the initial question.
No, you answered it. I wanted to know what was, you gave an example of the condition the dog was in,
Yes.
and how and the results, and which was incredible. And that's amazing. So, but we don't have to wait for our pets to become ill and show symptoms. I think this should be a way of healthy life for pets, right? So we could prevent them from getting ill.
Exactly. We have a saying, every pet, every person, every day should be taking this Coriolis versicolor mushroom extract. Every pet, every person, every day. RFK Jr. said that disease is brewing in the body long before the symptoms ever present themselves. And it's all we know what the core, we say it's from these different things, but we know what the core of it is. It's stuck energy, it's dis-ease, it's imbalance, it's energetic imbalance that's happening inside of the body.
Let me ask you, are these cookies any good for humans?
Yes, I always joke that they've all been tested on humans because I've eaten them all and they're actually pretty tasty. But that's an actual rule that I live by. Like if it's not something that I'm willing to eat, how can I tell other people to give it to their pets? How can I give it to my own pets if it's not something that I truly believe in and I understand, the importance of? So yeah, we say every pet, every person, every day should be taking this mushroom. Whether you're dealing with something or not. I'm 43 years old. I feel like I'm 23.
I was just going to say, you look 23.
Yeah. Wow, cool. Good. Yeah, whether it's true or not, I receive it. But but I feel so young, and that's what a lot of people say. I used to have an autoimmune disease. We don't even know what it was because I started taking this mushroom and I was having seizures. I was passing out. I was down to 104 pounds. I could barely walk. I had no energy, gluten intolerance, dairy intolerance. My inflammation was through the roof. My antithyroid globulin levels, which are supposed to be less than 1, were 522. It was just it was killing me, and it was killing the calling inside of me as well. Because when you don't feel well, it's hard to do things. It's hard to fight for what you believe in. It's hard to, go promote what you love when you don't feel well and you just want to lay in bed and just lay in a ball all day and feel bad for yourself. It was so depressing. And I started taking these capsules with this mushroom extract, and all that light and all that high frequency went into my body. As I was going through this testing, 5.5 months later, I feel completely fine. Never had a seizure again after I started taking this mushroom extract, never passed out again. Appetite came back, energy, not taking naps anymore. The clarity came back to my head. It was so foggy, felt like there was just a bowl. My head was inside of a bowl all the time. And when I started the endocrinology portion of the testing 5.5 months later, he looked at me and he was like, "You don't like." I skipped in there and like, "Hi." He's like, "You
Yeah.
look fine. Like most of the people around you do not have the same energy that you have." And I was like, "I feel great." He drew my blood work, anti-thyroid globulin levels back below 1. Autoimmune marker gone. Vitamin D deficiency I've had my whole life gone. Vitamin B deficiency I've had gone. My own body rebalanced itself and regulated itself. And at that point, he's like, "There's no reason for us to even continue the testing. Gluten intolerance gone, dairy intolerance gone." So it was all just imbalances in my own body that my immune system needed to adjust. And so that's why we're just getting it out there and saying we're so confident that it will help. Whether you're dealing with something that you're trying to resolve, or you're looking for an answer to something, or what, like you said, whether you're just being proactive, it's way better to be proactive than reactive and get to that point where you have to start making those hard decisions. It's so much better. And on top of that, when you're feeling better, you can serve better. You can be a better resource for others. You can do more and be more out in the world. And so we want to get animals, we want to restore creation for animals, for people, get it back to the natural order and the natural way that it's supposed to be, so that we can live these better lives and truly, do what we're passionate about and pursue the purposes that we've been given.
So have you got any response with sharing this information? Have you tried to share this information with vets, and companies, and what was their response?
It's really hard. It's really hard because vets are very similar to what's happening to doctors. They're trained in medicine and they're licensed in medicine, and that's all they know. And they're restricted by their licensing to give nutritional advice unless they're double licensed in both medicine and nutrition, which only 5% of vets are holistic vets.
But doesn't that wake them up when they realize, well, hang on, if this is working, why aren't I going to share this with the vet?
We've had vets that it's waking them up. We've had oncologists that have been oncologists their whole lives that have said, "Why have I never heard of this?" After seeing what the immune system does, and then seeing that there over 30 years have been over 400 published studies by the top institutions in the world, like Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, MD Anderson Cancer Center, Harvard University, all these researchers finding the same exact things and proving the same things that we're experiencing. And they sit there and I've been doing this 20 years. How come I've never heard of this? And they're scratching their heads. So there is this awakening that's happening, but unfortunately for some of them, it's been too long, and they're just so deeply a part of their system that they're, like you said, it's like they can't see it.
I think also it's hurting their ego as well, because they've spent all their lives training to become a doctor. So when they've attached themselves to their identity of who they are, the labels that they give themselves, and then it shatters their identity, there's a deep ego, collapse there.
Yeah. And most doctors and veterinarians a part of their income comes from the pharmaceutical companies. So it's just, there's so many parts to it, and it is what it is, and we can do what we can do, right?
Yeah.
So, exactly. Hopefully we're being light out there, and we're exposing all of this and shining light into these dark areas and showing them. And the biggest thing that they always say is like, this is just an edible mushroom. Like, it's no different from eating a mushroom on a salad. It doesn't interact with any of the medications or treatments. You can't overdose. You can't get addicted. There aren't any side effects. It is just a food. It
It's
is a
natural.
food.
Yeah.
It's
Mm.
100% natural, just a food that feeds the immune system. And so I think sometimes their minds are just like they can't wrap it around how something simple like a mushroom, just a food, can impact the body so positively and make such a difference, especially when they've told someone this is the end of the road for you. There's nothing more that I can do. There's nothing more that I can do for you and your pet. When they've exhausted all of their options and all of their resources and done everything that they know how to do, and then this little mushroom comes along, and a month later, 2 months later, 6 months later, 4.5 years later, they're still with us, right? And they're doing great. And so it's a lot. It's hard for them to understand that.
Yeah, yeah, it would be because if you're asleep and you think, you trust in the authorities, and they're saying there's nothing we can do, and then you're coming along saying, well, we've got this thing, actually, I can help. In their minds, they're thinking, but they should have all the experience and all the knowledge and this research in the world because they're professionals, they're qualified. They should know. So if they don't know and they can't do anything, how can you help me? So it's very like it's really waking up to they're not here to help us. They're here to make money and suppress the truth. But absolutely, it's spiritual as well. So yeah, it's crazy stuff. Yeah,
Everything is spiritual when it comes down to it. Like it's all
I agree.
100%.
Yeah, I agree.
And
Cristin,
the
it's been please.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say the physical is just a manifestation of the spiritual. It's how we know. It's how we know where we are energetically, what we're experiencing. It's actually when you really break free and understand it, it's so liberating when you realize that. And you're like, "Oh wow, everything's real, but also nothing's real."
Absolutely true. And I say to people, if you really want to know, because a lot of people can't fathom the concept of reality. So I just say, let's start from an atom. Even scientists can say that they've observed that an atom is 99.9% space made of neutrons and electrons and photonic light. What is that? That's a hologram. And we're projecting a hologram via our consciousness, our awareness, but it's been hijacked into 3D, but we're going back to 5D, and that's what the shift is. So it's great. you know. But Cristin, listen, it's been great speaking with you. I'm going to leave the link below in the description so that people have access to your amazing pet food to help their pets reverse their condition and help them live, 10 more years or their full lives that they should have been living, intended to live. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to the viewers before we finish?
I have so much gratitude. I'm just so thankful for you. I'm thankful for this entire community. I'm thankful that we're not only locking arms and becoming more aware and learning all of this and exposing all of this, but we're responding to it and we're doing something with it. And I'm just so grateful for this community that they continue to plug in and support you and be light out in this world and, have fun doing it, right? Because that's what it's all about is having fun and having joy and being in the eye of the storm, right? Just staying in the calm of the storm. That's where we all are. So I just want to let you know how much I appreciate you and thank you for allowing us to share our hearts.
No, thank you very much, and I really appreciate you for creating, contributing to a parallel system that's helping humanity bridge them into freedom and sovereignty away from the system, because that's what we need to do. So thank you very much, and I really appreciate it. And I'll be leaving the link below in the description. So click below and have a look, and we'll speak again very soon. You take care. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.